Yo, what's good? It's your boy Big Steve, and this is Go Blue Uncut, where we smoke and talk Michigan football. So let's get into it. So today starts the first day of spring practice, and last week we kind of went over the defensive line unit, which is probably going to be the strongest unit on the defense. But I feel that the most underrated group is the linebackers. And being that Mike Barrett and Junior Colston has been the starting linebackers basically for the last 2 years, and with both of those guys leaving, it just leave a lot of questions up in the air, man. So let's go ahead and get into it and talk about the Michigan linebackers that we got going into the 2024 season. And the first two we're going to start off with, and I'm just going to record of saying this. I feel this unit is going to be probably the best Michigan linebacking unit we had in a long time. And I know we coming off a national championship with two good linebackers, but I think these two linebackers right here can probably be maybe first, second round type linebackers. These dudes is some good players. They both transfers. One was Ernest Hausman. He was there with us last year. Came over from Nebraska, and just an all-around player, man. The dude's a beast. He's somebody who's going to go and tackle. Ernest Hausman, 6'2", 245 junior, out of Nebraska. Played his freshman year at Nebraska. And the crazy thing about it with these two linebackers, I feel both games has came against Michigan. So if you're a Michigan fan, you saw these two dudes, but Barrett and Junior Colston showed a lot of flashes. I really like what I saw from dude. He was aggressive. He was what I wanted to see in Junior Colston. I think Junior Colston maybe was a smarter linebacker, but he's looking for contact. Kind of big guy, 6'2", 245. Like I said, got a lot of playing time last year as a true sophomore after coming over from Nebraska. So these just some guys to keep your eyes on, like through this whole spring process. And his partner in crime, I feel probably is going to be the Nebraska transfer. I mean, not Nebraska, my bad. The transfer from Maryland, Jayshon Burham, 6'4", 240 middle linebacker. And like I said, if you saw the Maryland game last year, you saw number one all over the field. This is a big pickup. I feel this was probably the best pickup of the offseason on the defensive side of the ball. He can do it all. He can cover, and he can blitz. It's just like he's similar to Mike Barrett, but a blitzing middle linebacker. He can drop back in coverage. He can kind of do it all. So he's definitely somebody, to keep an eye on through the spring practice, going into the spring game, which comes April 20th. So Joshawn Barnhart is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Those two dudes, I think, is going to be your starting middle linebackers going into the season. Like I say, man, I think they're going to be the most underrated group going into the season, being that both of them are replacing two Michigan legends at that middle linebacker spot. Two Big Ten, two all Big Ten players. And I feel Ernest Hausman, he's going to bring that aggression. He's He's trying to make every tackle on the field. He's aggressive. I haven't really saw too much of him in coverage, but as far as tackling, getting to the ball, he's definitely somebody that I feel is going to be the leader of the linebacker core. And I think Barnhart is going to be that coverage guy. The Mike Barrett can do it all. He's going to be your blitzing linebacker. He's going to be somebody to drop back in that, that Michigan defense they like to run every now and then when the linebacker drop back in coverage. Mike Barrett had 2 interceptions 2 years ago from that same spot. So it's going to be definitely cool seeing these just 2 players I feel is going to be the starting linebackers. And they're going to be beasts. They're going to be beasts. With the D-line we have, these dudes is going to be some motherfucking monsters, man. Mark my motherfucking word. Arnon Hausman, I like to call him Nebraska. He's from Nebraska. He was a top 100 linebacker, top 100 player, I believe, 2 years ago in the class of 22. Showed a lot of promise as the 3rd linebacker last year. And like I said, if you watched the Maryland and Michigan game last year, it was all over the field. Number one, especially against Donovan Edwards. There was a couple plays where on the linebacker get his hands on him and push him out the way. But it was a couple plays I watched, just watched Barnhart play against the Michigan game where he was beating Trevor Keegan to the punch. And Trevor Keegan's no slouch. Keep my eye on Joshawn Barnham, 6'4", 240 linebacker. These are 2 big linebackers. Pause. These are 2 fast linebackers. I feel this is going to be the best line. This defense is going to be incredible, man. It's going to be crazy. This defense is going to be incredible. First game of the season against Fresno State, and then they got the game against Texas, where I feel against that Texas offense, you're really going to see these linebackers all over the field. So once again, Jayshon Barnhart and Ernest Hausman, I feel is going to be your 2 starting linebackers. Michigan normally run a 4-2-5 with 4 D linemen, edge, 2 D linemen and 2 edge, however you want to call it. 2 middle linebackers and 5 DBs. And a couple other guys I feel is going to be in the mix. I think the 3rd guy is going to probably be Jimmy Roeder, the middle linebacker from Illinois, the junior, 6'2", 235. Had a couple big plays on special teams last year. Dealt with a couple injuries, which allow Ernest Hausman to kind of get more playing time. But they are expecting big things from Jimmy Roeder. He's a typical Midwest linebacker, run stopper, aggressive. Like I say, made some big plays on special teams last year. And this Michigan team is going to be motherfucking loaded at linebackers. Like I say, with losing somebody like a Junior Colston and a Mike Barrett, getting Jimmy Roeder back, getting Barham in the transfer portal are huge. It was some huge pickups. In addition to a, like I say, a defense I feel would be twice as good as the 2023 defense. A defense that averaged only 11 points a game. So Jimmy Roeder, like I say, played some special teams, had a big hit I believe against Nebraska last year, if I'm not mistaken, on special teams. Saw some playing time as a freshman, injuries, but he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And then also, you have a guy, Phil. If you watched Michigan defense last year, you saw this guy a couple times. Michael Pollard kind of got in during some garbage time last year, but you saw this dude had some speed, man. He wasn't as big as the other guys, Pauls, 6'2". He was borderline 225 last year, 220. So he didn't have the bulk of like a bulkier middle linebacker as a Jimmy Roder, but he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on going into the spring game. I feel he could. I won't be surprised if Michael Pollard is a starter. That's how deep this linebacker core is. And that's a job that the new linebacker coach, who I'll talk about in a minute, he has to figure it out. And that's a good problem I think he's willing to deal with. So Michael Pollard is a guy, and once again, all these players are really juniors, just going into their true junior year. So we have one guy. He's been around to his senior year as of right now. Haven't heard anything from the transfer portal. But Jaden Hood, the senior, he's going into his senior year from Florida, the Florida area. Kind of got some high praises going into the spring game last year as a surprise linebacker to look out for. With the addition of Ernest Heisman, kind of took some snaps away from him, a lot of snaps. So, but it's always cool to see that one player you saw, getting recruited, and then it's not cool that he's not getting the playing time that he probably wants, but it's cool to see that guy stick around the program. The same thing happened with Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson was a fifth-year senior last year, and if it wasn't for injuries, he had a good chance to get drafted. So Jaden Hood, the senior linebacker, 6'1", 230, the shorter linebacker of the group. Like just felt out the rotation, but he's a guy I'm gonna definitely keep an eye on in the spring practice leading up to the spring game, which is April 20th, because after the spring game, I believe it's right after time, and with this many good linebackers, I can see one or maybe two of these guys transferring. I didn't really look at it. So I won't be surprised at all. But those are your linebackers we're looking at, man. Ernest Heisman, transfer from Nebraska, played at Michigan last year. Jayshawn Barham, the transfer from Maryland, junior. I feel it's going to be a stud at middle linebacker. And then you got he's a Michigan recruit, third-year player out of Illinois. Michael Pollard, tall, fast linebacker, and Jaden Hood. And then you have the new linebacker coach. Has a kind of a weird name, but he's the new linebacker coach, Gene Murray. They can't just have regular middle names no more. But there you have it, man. And your 2024 Michigan linebacker group, which I say, are they underrated? When you have to be such, but these dudes are gonna be some players, man. Keep your eyes on these dudes. These dudes with that defensive line. But the defensive linebacker coach, Brian Jean Mary, is his second stint at the University of Michigan. Been in the SEC country for a little while. He was at Tennessee recently. And, you know, Tennessee had a great linebacker core, was top 4 in the nation in tackles for loss last year. So I definitely feel that Sherrod Moore did a good job with going after some great defensive coaches that can keep the success going at Michigan. So Brian G. Mary, I think that's a problem that I'm sure he's okay with. Shit, because he got their defense, man. God damn, that defense is gonna be motherfucking awesome, man. That defense is gonna be motherfucking awesome. Like I say, last week we did a line. You know, tonight we did linebackers. And just once again, just to go ahead, these guys are gonna be some bona fide ballers this year, man. Ernest Hausman, I feel, can be maybe first round, maybe second round type linebacker next year. That's how good this defense is. It kind of remind me of Chip 2001, and a better defense came back 2002. That remind me of this team. You know, Ernest Hausman, you have Jay Sean Barham, you have Jimmy Roder, and you have some guys at middle linebacker can be game changers. Michael Pollard, and very excited to see how the new linebacker coach use these guys. You know, my opinion, I feel that Ernest Hausman and Barham is going to be your two best linebackers, middle linebackers, that is. And I feel Jimmy Roder and Michael Pollard is going to be their backup, and it's going to be that defense is going to be nasty, man. So, like I say, linebackers this week. I'm trying to do another video, then another video about the safeties, the defensive backs, which is going to be another group that's probably got, you know, 2 or 3 people who can go, you know, top 2 or 3 rounds. So keep your eyes on these linebackers. They're going to be some ballers.